Welcome Ambreen with a round of applause.
First of all, I'd like to thank EOSYS for organizing this event and for bringing all of us together here. As you just heard, I'm representing EOSREAL here. We're actually based in Singapore. We're a BPC from Singapore, but our team comes from all over. So we are from Singapore, China, Australia, Pakistan, and our team is from different backgrounds as well. So we have technical background, we have people with long-term financial background, with fintech background, development background, and we also have a psychologist on board. So what our company has been doing previously is using data to solve real-life problems. So when we got into this blockchain space, we sort of retained that focus. So the idea is to address certain real-world problems with a specific focus on the underprivileged. Because as we know, there are lots of use cases of blockchain being used by UNICEF, by the World Food Program, by other organizations. So that's kind of like the focus of our organization. So in terms of those problems, let me just briefly describe some of them. One is, of course, property ownership record. So in most underdeveloped countries, you know that this record, even if it's maintained, it's not accessible by everyone, it's not shared, and the transfer of property has big issues involved and legal implications to it. Another problem that we want to address is that of contract enforcement. Now, they're large in informal economies, but even when there are, because the cost of being in the formal economy is very high, but even when there are contracts in place, the enforcement almost never happens. So that's an area we want to address through using EOS technology. And the third problem I wanted to highlight here is that there's no economic profile of citizens. Even in the developed world, you do have an economic profile, but the underdeveloped world, people in the higher income levels still have some kind of economic profile, but people in the lower income levels don't have any profile. And that, keeps them away from access to finance, from insurance, because there's no way to validate what they're claiming. Now, why EOS can solve the problems that I've identified? If you look at this map, most of the areas where there's no internet freedom or there's lack of access to information or asymmetry in information are the ones where there's some kind of censorship or some kind of issue. And these are the areas where the underprivileged usually are. And these are the people that we want to focus on through our work. Now, in order to, these were the problems that I highlighted. This is the goal of our company as such. But how do you translate this into action? So in order to do that, you have to deal with EOS functions, and you have to develop apps. And that, too, within a complex governance setup and in a rapidly changing social and regulatory environment. And we're very committed to supporting EOSIO in this context in order to improve the ecosystem surrounding EOS and also to put governance mechanisms in place in order to achieve the overall goal of improving life, liberty, and the protection of human rights. And we've already started working in this context. We've been looking at the Constitution closely, giving feedback on it, rewording some parts of it. And our founder actually met with Cox last week, and he had like a 3-hour-long sort of discussion on that. Some of you might have seen that. So in addressing the problems that I highlighted in the beginning, we need to develop certain dApps. And we're planning to start with an insurance dApp, which will enable cheaper insurance availability, health insurance, life insurance, to the underprivileged, which will reduce the kind of shocks they have to face otherwise. And another area we want to focus on is building a complete 360 economic profile. So even where there are development projects in place, all this information resides in silos. The idea is to bring it together and then use it in order to improve access to finance as well. So it could start with microfinance solutions, as some of you might know, and later on it could be used to support small businesses and other situations. And another area we want to focus on is actually writing smart contracts, and maybe starting with simpler contracts and later on moving to more complex ones in order to improve rule of law in some of these areas. And these are some of our stands on recent hot issues. I won't sort of go into the detail, but on voting corruption, we believe that there should be a clear guideline about what corruption is and what it isn't. And there should be a whistleblower mechanism in place as well, along with true IDs of the voters. And in terms of exchange voting and exchange BPCs, I mean, they can be BPs or BPCs as well, and they can vote. And the idea is that the exchange cannot use a framework contract to steal users' voting rights. And about China BPCs, we feel that they have a right as well, and they can also operate servers outside the country. But it's very important in the context of China to be proactive in following local laws in order to prevent yourself from being censored in the end. That's about it, really. And if you have any questions and answers, questions, we can discuss them later. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambreen. Yeah, I think it is really valuable to bring up the issue of underprivileged. 네, 지금부터 10분간 다시 휴식 시간을 가지겠습니다. Now we'll start 10 minutes of intermission. Thank you.